and train ourselves not to is to make assumptions based on what we're seeing about people. Look at this diverse wheel, this wheel of diversity. All of these things impact the way a person thinks and behaves. Your religion, if you're a Christian versus Muslim, in some aspects, your religions may have similar attributes, but the practices are different. Your work style, organizational role, your work experience. Some students here, not in this class, not that much difference. In some classes, you have people who are returning college students because of their age. Some of you all are similar in age, so you're not as diverse if you were a class that had people in different age brackets. It affects your lifestyle, it affects the way you think, and it affects the way you live. Now, when you look at your family status, if you're raised by your parents, both parents, male and female, or parents, male, female, single parents, grandparents, the family status is changing, especially in the United States. So everything looks differently. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that because you live in a diverse world, are you forced to accept what other people's perspectives are? No, it's just to be aware of them and understand that everyone has their own perspective and is based on so many different factors that defines an individual. So the more we understand the world of diversity in which we live in, the more we'll be able to be more proficient in work, in our academics, and also in relationships. So let's look at this right here. Traditionally, race is biologically determined physical characteristics that set one group apart from another. So when we look at each other, we can look at physical characteristics, color, hair, textures, that this definitely sets one group apart from another. So if you look at me, I'm born in the U.S., South Carolina, but if you look at somebody born in Nigeria, we have similar physical, biological characteristics, but we have two different ethnicities, two different cultural patterns, two different natural origins. So ethnicity relates to what do you practice, how do you relate, where did you come from? That's the differences between race and ethnicity. The culture is learned behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes that are characteristics of an individual, society, or population. So culture is what anybody can learn. If I grew up in Japan, I would behave like Japanese people. Even if my parents were from Utah, I would behave like I'm Japanese because of the culture, because I learned how to behave that way. So everyone, please tell me, what are three main reflections of culture? What are the three main expressions of culture? Food. Food, I have food, music, clothing. I would say food and clothing. And what's the other one?
Gadgets.
Gadgets. Okay, that's interesting. I'd like to know more about that. What do you think about gadgets?
Devices.
Okay. So what type of devices do you think that you use?
Computers and cell phones and.
Okay. Some societies use them more, devices and gadgets, than maybe some other societies. For many reasons, may not have access or just may not be as important. There are some societies that do not use cell phones and we will say modernized tools, but they have their own system of civility and organization. Yes, what were you going to say?
Religion.
Religion is a reflection of culture, but at the same time, a person, Mexican, right? A Mexican person that is Christian, they may practice Christianity. It might look a little different than somebody else who was from, let's say, New York, but it's still Christianity. But what's another main one? We have food, we have clothing.
Websites from different regions, parts of the world.
Websites, we will talk about websites in just a minute. It'll be good to help us to learn about different cultures. What are the government? That's a little bit more broad, but we want to, what is an expression of culture? Okay, we have food, we have our attire, we have something else that's very, very important. Okay, your style, that's true. Some cultures have their style that's different. But something is very, very important that involves communication. Language. Yes. Those are the key cultural coders. Your language, your food, your attire, and everything else is included, but those are the three main ones. So as a person, as people that live in a different society, if they're not practicing their language, and they're not wearing their attire, and they're not practicing the food or eating the food, preparing the food, those things, the more it's decreased, the less you would see the expression of that culture represented. Example, and I'm gonna ask you one more question. Example, when you think about the American society, and this is back when you had the slavery and the whites that settled here. Now, when they brought blacks from Africa, they themselves were Africans, had their own traditions, cultural, and everything. But because of oppression, they were not able to continue to practice those traditional behaviors. That's why many black people that are American, we don't, there's nothing that links us back to Africa regarding food, our language, or our attire, because they weren't allowed to keep those. Now, for cultures that are here in the US, there are times that you will see people, you can identify people based on what they wear. Who are some people that you've seen, group of people in the US, when they wear something, you will know, oh, that's who they are. Yes?
Muslim.
Muslim? Okay, Muslim, when you see them with their wraps, you may not know exactly what part, but you know that some Muslims have more traditional practices, yes.
Because they represent faith.
Yeah, that is their faith, that they are practicing wearing those garbs. But what else? And who else have you seen? Africans because of what? They're wearing different print, hair ties. And so when you see somebody down the street, you go, oh, those are Africans or some African country, right? What about another group of people that wears a lot of their native attire? Asians, yes. You see them, the ladies with the long and the scarves and different things, okay? So when you think about you and where you are from, now I want to know, are you practicing your cultural? Are you still eating the food? Are you speaking the language? Are you wearing the attire? So let's go back to this one. Let's find out where everybody is from. So, let's see who joined us recently. Yes, ma'am. Where are you from in the world? What part, where do you identify?
Well, I'm Trinidadian, so I don't know what that would be considered.
Thank you, okay. Now see, if everybody look at her, you see her skin color, hair complexion, I mean her complexion and hair texture, you may think that she is what? Just by looks at her, what do you think? What does she think she identifies as what? African or American, Black American. She's Trinidadian, okay? So you won't know, you make an assumption. Okay, who else has joined us? Did she tell us? You told us. Yep, you. So, where do you identify as coming from in the world? Asia, which part? What part of Asia?
Sally, like
I mean, what's the name of the country?
my country.
Yes, Vietnam, okay. He's from Vietnam, okay? So, now, my next question, when we think about culture, and culture is learned, and we talked about language, food, and clothing. How many of you all know speak more than one language fluently at home? Who speaks more than one language fluently at home?
Doesn't matter if it's like fully 100%.
Fluently? Don't you communicate? It's the main communication. We have three, only 4, 5. If you speak more than one language at home, let me see your hands in here. Raise your hands. Thank you. Now we have more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. How many speak more than 2 languages? Okay. So what language do you speak? Let's speak Spanish and English, right? We're talking speaking English. What about you?
Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. All right.
Spanish and English.
Spanish.
I don't know that much of Urdu, but I'm improving it.
Okay. Spanish. Creole, okay?
Same.
See, you never knew. Speak Creole, she speaks Creole, all right? So, I speak English. I used to speak French in school, but I didn't keep it. So one thing about language is that if you don't speak it continuously and practice it, you can actually lose that language. So this is something that is important. When you think about yourself, your culture, your identity, and who you are and how you are, based on so many different reasons, your family, your history, you might think about what is important to you about your culture that you want to keep. Now, the less you speak your language, your native language, the easier it is to just lose it. That's just the truth. Okay, so that is something that you want to retain about your culture, to be able to pass on to your next generation, your children, your children's children, then you have to practice it. What about the food? All right, so what is your go-to food, Nancy? What do you eat at home? What is something that's staple that's always, okay, let's think about food that's served on holidays. That's like a picture of your traditional food. What is served at Thanksgiving? Turkey, ham, and potato salad. Depending on what part of the U.S., that collard greens might be a little bit different. Mac and cheese, it'll taste a little different, right? Okay, so that's a pretty much basic meal. Now, Thanksgiving, is it practiced in Vietnam?
Yes.
It is practiced in Vietnam? Okay, what is a traditional meal?
Actually, we just like chicken.
Chicken?
Yes.
Like how's it prepared? Like fried chicken
Chicken with sticky rice.
with sticky rice?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so when you're saying chicken, somebody else from the South might think of KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know, that type of chicken, but that's not the chicken you're talking about. Okay. What is your Thanksgiving, do your family practice Thanksgiving? Okay, what about Christmas? Practice Christmas?
Yeah.
What is your Christmas meal?
Well, we don't do Christmas, we just visit other parties, but I don't know how to.
Okay, you go, it's a party time. Okay, you visit. What about you?
We don't have like a set meal, but we'll, my grandma would always make, what's it called? It's just a plate with rice, white rice, steak, and french fries, and a bunch of onions, and black peppers. It's really good.
Okay,
I forgot what it's called, but she makes that.
but that's like a traditional meal that she prepares at that time.
No, but she'll pull it out for Thanksgiving every once in a
She'll
while.
pull it out for Thanksgiving, okay.
But it's not for Thanksgiving, but.
Okay, what about you?
Just turkey, stuffing,
Okay. Okay, and these are your parents, your second generation American, okay? And what about you, Mr. and Dad?
we just kind of go back and forth. Like I do every time. I think one of our specialties is like etouffee. That's more of like that's like kind of different, but we'll do etouffee or we'll do like crawfish. It's kind of just a thing I guess they do in the South in a way, but it's still kind of Creole in a way. Like I don't know. I can't really explain it, but they kind of do a mix.
Okay,
Or they'll just do like peas and rice. Well, here it would be considered like beans, I guess. But it's like peas and rice or crawfish, etouffee. I feel like special.
what about you? It's for New Year's? Okay, what,
It's like a big pot of soup.
okay, okay,
And marionette and lemon and
okay.
some stuff.
Okay, now if you listen to everybody had a totally different type of meal, except maybe these two had some similarities. But everybody else's meal was so different, because it's a reflection of your culture. Now, do you all know how to prepare the dishes that you shared about? Okay, I got yeses. Do you know how to cook? So you have to learn how to cook the food, all right, so that you can keep it and share it with your children after you. That's a very important part of your culture. I didn't ask you, Syed. Syed, are you ready to talk?
No.
Okay, it's okay. All right. So we have to understand that these are aspects of our culture that we need to hold on to. Now, how many people in your culture, they have a native or a traditional dressing? Anybody have? Okay, what does it look like?
It's just like a whole bunch of patterns. It's like a dress. It's like a long dress.
Okay,
Like a balloon, but it's
I don't really like it.
Okay. Do you have anything similar to that? Okay. You have one? Do you wear it? Do you wear it? Is it something you wear on occasions, or you just wear it like I'm wearing it at any time? Okay. What about you? Somebody else raise their hand. Traditional? Yeah, okay. What type of traditional?
It's probably like the same thing, like one of the long dresses, but they'll be like satin or like robes, but, they're not like traditional robes. They're probably like something that they got from their mom and their mom and their mom, and they'll just pass them down like to the family, a bunch of them.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we have like, for women, there's like vibrant dresses, with flowers all over them, and the hat matches the dresses well for the women, and for men, we wear like mask and like a vest, and like these longish kind of black shorts with like dress shoes.
Okay. When do you wear that?
It can, I mean, you can, like, people wear it for birthdays, like bautismos, which is like baptisms,
Okay.
like just birthdays, and any kind of like parties. If you, like, we only wear it to dance. And if we want to
Okay.
dance, we put it on, and that's the only reason we wear it, is just to dance.
Do you have?
Yeah, I have my own, yeah.
Okay. And you wear it to do dance?
If I want to, but not all the time. So,
Okay.
it's very, only on special occasions.
Okay. And on this side, somebody raise their hand. Do you have a traditional native attire? Okay. No? Traditional native?
I have two. So I'm Irish, so the Irish swear, and then
Oh, Maury.
Okay, so when you have that, that is something to think about, to make sure that you have it. Are you practicing it? Are you practicing using it, wearing it at the right times, festivals, or anytime? Now, as you can see, I just decided to do this because two things. I like African attire, or not even African, I like to wear my clothes. So my closet is full of different things. So for me, I just wear this now. But some people wouldn't wear something like that, or, you know, they'll wear it for different occasions or times based on their cultural patterns or their, whatever is appropriate for your society. So when you think about culture, understand the main thing is that it is learned. The attitudes you have, the beliefs that you have, everything about it is a learned behavior. Okay, so that means you can also learn the cultural behavior of somebody else's culture. If you can learn your own, you can learn others if you want to. Becoming culturally competent is very important. It's very, very crucial, especially now in this generation in the world which we live in. America is known as the melting pot. So many different cultures come to the U.S. blend, not blend as well, but they're come together and blend. So you have an opportunity to be exposed to so many different people from different parts of the world. That's why coming to college gives you a great opportunity from that. So when you're looking around the room, so many people are different, even from Latin America, different, okay? Different, the Creole connection, different, okay? But when you come to school, you have an opportunity to connect with so many people from different parts of the world. So it's important to become culturally competent. It is knowledge of other people's backgrounds, customs, perspectives, and their history. That is very important. A person is not only what you see, they have a history, they have a background, they have so many things that represent who they are. It provides a basis for civic engagement. You would know how to interact with different people because you increase your exposure to and your knowledge of each one. It permits us to act with civility towards others because you understand the appropriate cultural norms. One of my students is Yoruba. He's a Nigerian. And he shared that one of the traditions, and I'm gonna ask you all to share some traditions from your culture, is that whenever you greet an elder, you have to prostrate. Prostrating is you're standing up and you go flat, not just bending. You know, some cultures, if you just bend, that's enough. But for the Yorubas, you are standing up and you go flat to the ground, like this, straight on the floor, and you get back up. And he's a mature man, so maybe we might be similar in age. So if he greets another elder, imagine a mature man going flat on the floor. That's the culture, okay? So now, if you are looking at it from your old cultural lens, you're like, no, why would you do that? I had another person, a young man, he was like, he's from Liberia. He's like, no, I'm not getting on the floor for nobody. That's his choice, that's his culture. His culture does not support that. In the Igbo culture, you curtsy or you bend when you're greeting an elder. Okay? So every culture has their own tradition. Now, if you were meeting somebody in Yoruba, would you bow? Or would you prostrate? That depends on why you're there and the purpose of your going, and the person, your guide will give you the instruction of what you need. But for you to just recognize what is important. Like one thing I had to learn, that I had to unlearn, is that you do not hand people something from your left hand. If you're greeting somebody in the African community, do not, even if it's this pen, if they need this pen, say, oh, give me this pen. You pick it up with your left hand, many won't take it from you. But if you're an American, they will take it because they understand that you don't understand. But they may hesitate because it's offensive to give them anything with the left hand. So if you have to use your left hand, you hold it with the right hand and you go like this. That's how you do it. And they will treat that as you being respectful to them. So it's something, cultural competence, you would have known that. So now at this time, I would like for you all to share a tradition from your culture that you believe is unique to your culture. Who has a tradition to share? See, as you're sharing, we're learning about one another. We're learning about different cultures just from this class. So share a tradition. Yes. A tradition that you practice at home that maybe Ansley may not practice, or he may not practice, or may not practice, or might even know. What is something that your family do that is unique to being Vietnamese?
It's really old tradition, you know. Actually, you know, after I went to school, right, I'm always, you know, like, I taught in Vietnam, say hi with my mom and my dad after I finished school. And then like, actually, not really much to be different, like American. It's something the same too, because we learn American a lot, you know.
Okay.
That's right. It's some of tradition is the same American.
Okay. So what you're saying is that when even you went to school in Vietnam,
Yes.
but they were practicing a lot of the American traditions
Yeah, right.
there.
Yes.
So when you came, it's
because
something.
we learn.
Okay, so some things are just basically the
Yeah,
same.
in the past we have to work with American.
Okay.
That's why it's something that, you know, they have to be learned, and then it's
Okay.
like a factor, about, you know, Vietnam.
Okay,
That's why we learn.
okay. So when it's a wedding,
Wedding.
yeah, when it's time for somebody to get married,
Yeah, that's right.
what type of tradition do you all practice?
It's
Or do you just
at
go to
least
the
you have
church?
to be like 18 more,
18 years
yeah,
old?
18 years old over then.
Okay,
In Vietnam, we separate a lot of things, you know, we have so many religions, like, for the like, who have it, and maybe the Catholic, but in Vietnam, we have so many Catholic people, and then that's why we learning about, like, the taking something, like, because, like, the Catholic is from America, that's why we learn about it. I am Catholic too.
okay, so you're learning those
Yeah, that's right.
traditions,
That's
okay.
right.
Okay, all right, thank you for sharing that. All right, anybody else have a tradition from you to represent to reflect your culture? Yes.
This might be different, but like feeding our ancestors,
Say that again.
like feeding our ancestors.
Okay, so explain what that is.
Like when you make meals for your whole family, you make like a plate for your ancestors,
Okay,
and you leave it.
on the table or somewhere?
You can leave it on the table, in the kitchen, altar, like somewhere. You don't eat it, you don't touch it, no one touches it
Okay,
until it like dries out completely, and then you dispose of it in a certain way.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Can anybody else identify with that practice? Okay, I wanted to know because different cultures practice things similar, there's some similarities across the board. All right, anybody else have a tradition that is unique to your culture? Latin America, telling us everything. Anybody from Latin America?
I don't know if it's like my culture, but on New Year's, me and my family, lentils, we grab a bag and we, when it hits the bag, we throw it on top of each other. Like instead of the bag is empty, and
What is it that you throw?
lentils.
Lentil beans?
Lentils.
Okay.
You throw it on top of each other with a spoon, and, you have to, like, whenever you pick it up and you put it in your pocket, it means like wealth that's gonna come on the next year. And how much you pick up is how much wealth you're gonna get. I don't know if it's just for other people do it too, but something.
You don't know, is this your family or other Peruvians?
I'm not sure where we got it from, it's just something we do every New Year's though.
Okay,
It's something that we do.
that's a tradition in your family.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
okay.
not sure.
All right, anybody else have a tradition that they would like to share? Because we're learning about one another. So when you learn about these things and you're hearing and people are talking about celebrating, I know that Asia, they celebrate, they have their New Year's celebration is different from ours. So you might, hear about these things and it'd be good to inquire, learn, find out what it's about. It will help you to practice acting, being civil towards one another. And also allows us to make the most of our contribution to society. Now, accept the diversity as a valued part of your life. That is something that we must accept. We must embrace our own diversity, our own uniqueness, differences from others, but that doesn't mean that we disdain or put down another group of people. We don't do that. We form relationships more easily with people who are similar to us. This is so natural and normal. This is what we do. How many of us in our contact list of our friends or peers that we communicate with weekly that is different, is outside of our cultural group? Is anybody? I have one hand. Two. Okay. Many people don't. Is that wrong? No. Is it right? No. It's neither. Okay. If one would say that's wrong or that's right, that's making a judgment call. No. This is to help us to understand and to see who we are, how we are, and be open to explore and accept and interact with different people intentionally. However, we can grow in return when we seek out people that are different from us. We can have conversations, ask questions, have a lunch, eat the food, okay? We can learn what motivates other people and become aware of new ways to think about family, relationships, earning a living, and the value of education. So even though we only talked about some few aspects of culture, remember diversity. Diversity encompasses and comprises so many aspects of a person's life. But culture specifically is something that is learned from your group of people, your family, your heritage, and it's something that you can grow in identification with and also transfer to another generation. So learn to accept others who are different from you is an important job skill. That is important. When you're working, when you're thinking about profits, when you're thinking about what you want to do after you graduate, get your degree, you're going to work with people who are different from you. You will interact with people who are different from you. Even though you may like the Vietnamese community, people from Israel have money. You want their money, right? So it doesn't matter where they're from. Money, currency is what we want. So you have to learn how to interact, relate, and understand people who are different from you. Now, let's think about these three things. Exploring our own prejudices and stereotypes. You see, I put our own and not your own. So I'm not talking to us. This is for all of us. Exploring our own prejudices and stereotypes. Those are three big words here. Maybe you have not thought about it. But prejudice. Have you ever evaluated or judged a group of people or person just because it was a member of that group? Think about it. You might know that. You may not have done it intentionally, but think about your family. Think about when you're home. Okay, you want to say some things? Yes. Go ahead.
I'm wondering, like, is that considered like black people judging white people for racism and like slavery? Is that the same thing?
It is depending on the aspect that you're coming from. Now, if you want to say that slavery was a result of oppression from the European settlers and you recognize that's how it started, it's different when you see a white person say, it's your people, you oppressed us.
Yeah.
and you're blaming that one person because he happened to be white. He could be from Canada. He had nothing to do with it. Like, I just came. I'm just visiting. You blame me. What did I do to you? You know. So that's prejudice. When you have that, it's white people.
Right.
You know, that's prejudice, definitely.
That's what I was
Okay.
thinking.
Because there's hatred, there's anger, there's animosity projected on an individual because he's representing a race of people. Not even because of what the race is, because what people did back in the day. They ain't had nothing to do with it. They themselves, and some people might still practice hate or discrimination, stereotype, but sometimes you won't even know. So you don't know if they did it or not. Okay? So this is a hard judgment for all of us. What do we have in our heart and our mind towards people, groups, societies, cultures that are different from us? We have prejudice. I know for being a Black American, that was harder back in the day, years ago than it is now. I had to grow and learn and accept and just to mature and understand that. Once I realized that God made everybody and He loved everybody He made, how can I choose who I'm gonna love or who I'm not gonna love? Who's better than the other? He never chose, so why do I choose? That's me. That's my decision. So what happened in the past, yes, as a Black person in America, that had a great impact on my history, on my thought, my mindset. It really did have impact, but I had to grow and learn and embrace love. I had to just do that, you know, because as Black people who are Black people, Black Americans in here, so this is a good lesson for people to understand. Some of them have held on to hatred because of the oppression that happened. Black people are not the only people that has experienced that. If you have people, for instance, a Nigerian and Ghanaian, there was a time that Ghanaians went to Nigeria for some type of help and relief. Then after some time, there was a campaign that said Ghana must go. So they kicked all the Ghanaians out of the country. So a lot of Ghanaians held on to animosity towards Nigerians because of that happened. It didn't happen to them, it happened to their parents, okay? So what I'm sharing about what happened to Black and whites, it happens in different societies. You know, there might have been clashes. One group told me that Guatemala and Mexico, they don't like each other. I had two young men, one from Guatemala, one from Mexico, and they shared that historically there's clashes between them. So that exists. So the thing is that we have to determine to form our own opinions, thoughts, and mindsets based on our experiences with people we're meeting now. We could be aware of things that happened in the past. Things happen that's terrible. You know, a lot of different things that happen. Thank you, ma'am. There's a lot of awful things that happened in the past, but we have to know how to move forward and get over it, or accept that and continue to live on. Another example. Think about the young man that passed away some years ago when they had the Black Lives Matter campaign. What's his name? The George Floyd. That was one. The world watched that horrific thing that happened because of the racial profiling, the hatred, all of that stuff that happens. So now that could have stirred people to hate again, or it can stir up hate and animosity. Hatred and animosity is destructive. Period. Do not give into it for no reason. Love is the greatest force in the world is love. Love conquers any type of evil. Hatred, anything. Love conquers it all. So love, no matter the evil, the terrible, the atrocities, love conquers all. Because love begets love. Because if one stays and continues to imbibe that type of thing, it's poisonous. You spread it to other people. Your families do. You want to say something? Yes. And then you wanted to share about something? Yes.
I was just wondering, like, with the George Floyd thing, isn't that kind of considered prejudice?
That
And
is
not really racism or hatred? Because isn't it kind of considered prejudice because they're kind of evaluating the situation of this group of people or this, because with his situation wasn't like a white officer that killed him for no reason, so it's kind of evaluating that situation and not liking them based off of clearly that group that has a reputation of, even if it was years ago, but a reputation of doing things towards Black people. So wouldn't it be considered more prejudice than hatred or like even racism, technically?
Towards the white people,
Yeah.
yeah, that would become prejudice. Black people can be prejudiced against the white people, yes.
Right, that's what I
As
was
well as
wondering.
white people become prejudiced against blacks, yeah. It goes both ways, yes, it does. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to share?
So, I'm like, Asians, some of them, they don't like the Dominicans, and I know my mom, she don't like Dominican people.
Okay,
Like, she's like, y'all ancestors did this back to us, back a couple hundred years ago, so she just don't like none of them.
okay, and that's what happens, see? So you understand that even ideologies can be passed down, you know? So now you're aware of that, your generations are aware of that, so you won't determine what happens with that knowledge, that information, okay? So this is something that's passed on. Discrimination, have you ever excluded somebody because they're not a member of your cultural group? Was there any time you excluded intentionally? It doesn't mean you're unintentionally. You may have your friends, and these are your close friends, and these were not your close friends, you just went with your close friends. That's not exclusion. But when you intentionally exclude the person because they're not a part of your group, that's discrimination. It doesn't mean that I see that I'm from Latin America, it's in Mexico. Oh, and I'm gonna go with them because they're Mexican is also, we have more shared knowledge and experiences. That's not exclusion. Exclusion is, I'm not accepting you, I'm not admitting you, I'm purposely rejecting you because you're not a member of my group. That's discrimination. So think about yourselves, have you practiced that? Okay? Or has anybody experienced that? Has anybody experienced being excluded because or any type of discrimination, or being disdained because you're a part of a different cultural group? Disdain is more like negatively frowned upon, looked down upon because of that. Anybody experienced that? Well, praise the Lord. Good. All right. Stereotypes, beliefs and expectations about members of a group that are held because they are members of that group. Stereotypes is blind. Now, there are stereotypes that are not negative, and there are stereotypes that are more negative based. Example, when you think about people, a cultural group that excels mathematically, what continent are they from? Asia. Now, you're from Asia. Are you offended? Is that offensive when people say that? No. You're like, yes. Right? Why wouldn't you want to? Well, why is that? Why does it, in every class, everybody said the same thing? Why? Because there's a track record of higher performance by Asians compared to any other society. There is recordings, evidence-based, okay? That's a stereotype, but also it has been proven to be true in general. Now, they said that all black people, they still get killed and gangbang. That's a stereotype. That group that was there in that moment, whatever, that was descriptive of something that happened, okay? Now, when you think about, let's think about the Olympics. The fastest people in the world. What people are they? And where's he from? Jamaica. Uh-huh. Usain Bolt, easy, right? Jamaicans have dominated in track. Jamaicans also, some Black Americans have dominated as well. When you think about long distance runners, you think about Kenya or Eritrea. Eritrea, that's it, right? Yeah, you think of those two countries for long distance. Now, when you think about hockey, who dominates?
White people.
Yes, right? And when you think about football, with your foot, which country?
American.
No, but football, soccer. You think about soccer. Who?
Hispanics or Jamaicans.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Latin America, number one, and then who else?
Or Indians.
Anybody else Americans, right? Right, yeah. Okay, so, because there's a proven track record of that. So yeah, that is a stereotype. There's more of a character, but stereotype is just a belief. What we shared has been proven to be true over time. So stereotypes is like if you went to Jamaica, you're like, oh man, all of these people fast. That's a stereotype. Just because they're black don't mean they're fast. Oh, you're from Jamaica, oh man, you're gonna beat me in this race. Don't do that, okay? That's a stereotype. But have an understanding that many Jamaicans have excelled in that sport, that's just a reality fact. So because, like somebody come to, oh man, you're really smart in math, can you help me? Can you tutor me? Did you have friends that do that in school?
Yes.
Oh, he said
Yeah.
yes, right? Okay, because, he's from Asia, okay? So don't do that, that is wrong. Ask questions, hey, are you smart enough? Ask the question first, find out, because of course he's smart, I'm just saying he's smart, because he's in our class, all of our students are smart. But he may not have been smart in math, and he may not want to tutor you just because he's from Asia. So find out information first, don't make assumptions. We're gonna go down here. All right, developing cultural competence. How to develop cultural competence. Study other cultures and customs. Make it an intentional habit to study. To learn about other cultures and customs. Find out what they're doing. Travel. I'm giving everybody an assignment. Within 2 years, you must travel to a different country. Where are you going? 2 years.
Probably Mexico.
Not probably. Where are you going in 2 years? I am going to
I
Mexico.
am going to Mexico.
Where are you going? You can't, outside of your culture, outside of your culture. And you can include your own culture too, so you can learn and grow your competency about your own culture. So Mexico and
Is that?
Brazil, all right? Where you going? Vietnam and
Korea.
Korea, okay, good. All right, where are you going?
Peru.
Peru and, Peru. No, Peru and,
Canada.
all right, good, yeah, I want you to be broad-minded. Open your minds, and you have more opportunities. Where are you going?
2 years.
Korea?
I would say in 2 years, probably definitely Haiti and probably Singapore or Tokyo.
Okay, all right, where are you going? Haiti and Japan, all right, where are you going? Australia, yeah. See, stereotype thing about kangaroos, right? So, I won't make that joke, because we just talked about not doing that, so, Australia, where are you going? Mexico, all right, that is great. So I want you to think about it, and not just as a thought and idea. You can travel out of the US, it's very possible. It's called saving some money, buying a ticket, going, coming back. Get a visa, come back, that's it, all right? So everybody can do this. But make this a part of your lifestyle, that you will not just stay in the box, in the confines of the USA, or in the confines of your own culture where you're comfortable. Intentionally plan to travel, get to know the world. Participate in service learning. When you participate in service learning and you're working with groups and members that are not a part of your natural culture, you will learn about the people. Don't ignore people's backgrounds, that's very important. You can have a friend that's different from you. Don't accept them as your friend, but understand that they have a background that's totally different from your own. And don't make assumptions about people, who people are. That is something we have to remind ourselves to do continuously, not to make assumptions and accept differences. This class began at what time?
Sorry.
Okay, it's at 11, okay. All right. Ask yourself the following questions. How do I make judgments about people? Who are my friends? What do they look like? Why are they my friends? Have there been anybody that I came in contact with that could have been my friend, that I just kind of shunned a little bit just because they're different? Think about that. Be open to new friendships. Do I look down upon another racial group because I take pride in my own? Am I so proud to be a black woman that everybody else is inferior? Absolutely no. That's a fallacy. Be proud of who you are, but also respect and appreciate everybody else too. Do I look at things from different perspectives? That is important. You have to do that. There's always a different way of looking at something. People have a reason why. Like there's something that I had to understand. I had to ask a question. For Latin American girls, I don't know if this is all across the board, this from Mexico, this quinceañera, when she turns 15.
Oh, quinceañera.
Quinceañera. And you laugh, so I'm close. But does that happen in all? So the Peruvians, so you practice that? So where'd you say your family's from? That makes sense. Mexican? Okay, but so that's a norm, right? Okay, now that was something I didn't understand, so at first I'm like, why would they spend so much money? But when a child turns 15 years old, I mean, she gets married, why is that so special? Well, that's their culture. If I'm looking at it through my eyes, my lens, my perspective, I could disdain it and despise it and not value it, but that's a part of their culture. If you go to the Nigerian culture, and they're having a party, and they start dancing, what will you see? You'll see money on the ground. That's part of the culture. You dance, they will spray you with money. That's just part of the culture. That's showing love. People come, the floor, if the floor's not flooded with money, then they don't love you. And you take that money home as the celebrant. That's just a part of culture. You have to come and spray. So our last day of class, I'm gonna wear my best Nigerian outfit, and we're gonna dance. And everybody gets 100 on their test. Yay! Just spray well, okay? As long as that wasn't recorded, that was a joke. All right. So, understand how your racial, gender, ethnic, and cultural background affects how you think. Regardless of background, other students at your school share similar concerns about success and life goals. Everybody want to live, everybody wants to succeed, and everybody wants the best for themselves. Bridging differences can create lasting social ties. So just think about it when you're here, throughout your whole academic journey, through your professional career, connect and embrace other people who are different from you. So, because learning changes everything, go out and change your world by being culturally competent. Now, before you leave, make sure you sign this attendance. Before you leave, make sure you sign the attendance. Everybody whose name is on this attendance sheet will receive, number one, you'll get extra points on lesson 2, on your test number 2. If you did not take test number 2, it will be reopened and you can take it by the end of next week, Friday. So if your name is on this thing here, you will get extra points from test 2 or be able to retake it by next Friday. So sign your name, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Learn everything.